Is ketchup a vegetable? No. And not in the sense that tomatoes are technically fruits. Even if you think tomatoes are vegetables, ketchup still wouldn't count. I really don't feel like that statement needs any further justification, but just in case, what percent of ketchup do you think is made out of tomatoes? You would think that it's at least half, but no, ketchup is only 30% tomatoes in terms of mass. Some people might try to justify calling that a vegetable, but first of all, the sugar content can be as high as 25%. And second of all, in terms of calories, tomatoes only make up 20% of ketchup, while the added sugar makes up the rest, because vegetables have a very low caloric density. It might seem like I'm arguing with a brick wall here, but no, this entire discussion stems from a decision made by the United States government. While in terms of intelligence, the brick wall is preferable, the government just happens to have control over the nutrition of millions of children, so unfortunately, this is a conversation that needs to be had. During Reagan's presidency, the government's school lunch budget was decreased by 25% in the
Omnibus
Reconciliation Act of 1981. Out of all the things that the government can be taking money away from, we choose feeding our children. In light of these budget cuts, the USDA proposed to change their regulations to provide a little more wiggle room to schools in the school lunch program. This is already pretty gross. The nutrition provided to children in school was being deliberately harmed in order to save money. But it gets worse. The proposed changes would have allowed schools to meet requirements for specific kinds of food, like vegetables, with items that the USDA did not specifically list. An example that they gave for this was pickle relish. On the surface, calling pickle relish a vegetable is much more reasonable than calling ketchup a vegetable, because unlike ketchup, pickle relish is actually 60% cucumber by weight, while shockingly, ketchup doesn't contain any cucumber at all. But remember, the caloric density of vegetables is incredibly low. This is particularly true for cucumbers, which are 95% water, so in terms of calories, pickle relish is only 15% cucumber, with the rest being added sugar. So since pickle relish was arguably less of a vegetable than ketchup, and the new regulations would let schools use items which the USDA didn't explicitly state to be allowed, ketchup could conceivably count as a vegetable under these regulations. The reason vegetables are healthy is that they are nutrient-rich relative to the amount of calories they have. A gram of dark chocolate actually has far more nutrients than a gram of spinach, but spinach is far more nutritional because the gram of chocolate has 25 times the calories. So ketchup, even though it contains vegetables, has none of the health benefits. This rightfully outraged the press and Congress, so the proposed changes were revoked. Whether or not the USDA was actively trying to make ketchup count as a vegetable is up to interpretation, but if you think it was an accident, you are stupid. Children will eat ketchup with pretty much anything, so if schools gave ketchup in every meal, only one real vegetable would have to be provided as opposed to the usual two, letting them cut costs while harming the nutrition of children.